Thank you for coming, yeah, for your interest in this project, and yeah. So this is a working fountain. It's a sculpture, but at the same time it's also a space, because it's a walkable object. So it is the reproduction 1:1 scale of the courtyard with fountain that I found in Za'atari camp, in Za'atari refugee camp in Jordan. Here, oh, it's so clean that it's disappeared, but the text is engraved in this part of yeah. Of the marble, and the name. Now maybe we wait that the water stops. So here is the name of the original designer, of the person who built this model of fountain, the number 32. Corresponding the number 32 of my inventory, of my catalog of the fountains of Za'atari camp. He is the original designer is Fida Khaled Kazak, and together with its name is the address, so the location of this courtyard with the pool, with the fountain, that was built within Za'atari camp in District 4, Block 8, and the street is Mahalat El Ghouta. Mahalat El Ghouta means the street of the shops of Ghouta. Ghouta is this area, this district near Damascus. This platform, try to imagine a thin layer of cement, of concrete, and in the middle a pool with the fountain. Well, the pool, what I did in Reggio Emilia, and this is a kind of method, yeah, for the other reproduction in the future of the models. Well, the pool, this object, it was reproduced upside down, because I wanted that the relations between the basement, the pedestal, and somehow, and the object, I want them inverted. So within the camp, and somehow the platform, the courtyard, the area of the courtyard works as a pedestal for the pool of the fountain. Well, here and in Europe in general, I wish this relation is inverted. So I wish that the pool of the fountain works as a pedestal for the platform, for the courtyard, and on the one hand it is a kind of invitation to walk on this space, and on the other hand it is also a kind of plastic device that allows me to communicate this object as separated from the soil, from the ground, because as you see the pool also determines the inclination of the platform, and also, of course, determines the vision, the perception of this object as separating from the soil. and it was reproduced marble because I want it last, it resists. And even if the original one in Za'atari camp is of course built concrete, and concrete is one of the materials, let's say, of the permanents that are forbidden within the Za'atari camp, because Za'atari, like many camps, it's temporary. It's a temporary settlement, and so the material environment cannot last, and every element of the camp has to be temporary. So the courtyard with fountains built by Syrian residents within Za'atari camp, they are, we can say somehow, the only elements within the camp which talk about the permanence, the need to feel home and somehow. And then of course maybe we will talk much more better about the symbolic meanings of the courtyard in the Arabic architecture, in the tradition of the Arabic architecture. Yeah, Za'atari was created in 2012 in Jordan, 14 kilometers from the Syrian border, in a semi-desert area. And it was created by Jordanian authorities and UNHCR, that is the Agency for Refugees from the United Nations, to receive Syrians fleeing the civil war. Well, in a few months, Za'atari became a settlement with tents, and really in a few months, in maybe 1 year, it became the second largest camp in the world, and by size the fourth town in Jordan. At the very beginning, families received from the organization, from the humanitarian organization based in the camp, they received tents. 1 tent for 1 family. In a few months, tents were replaced by shipping containers for where 1 family lived. Later, by a kind of private initiative, the shipping containers were torn and added in relation to the needs of the families, and they were used as rooms and moved around the void. That void became a courtyard, so with a fountain in the middle, and in somehow they reproduced the traditional Arabic house model. This is not only a sculpture, this is also a space, as I said before, and what Collezione Maramotti did in the last year is not only to fulfill this project in all its aspects as a device. I mean, they thanks Collezione Maramotti, now the project is fully activated as a device, and that means that this first prototype, this first model has been built as a public sculpture. A book will be launched in a few months. It will be a collection of 61 models of Za'atari fountains to be purchased, to be sold to European cities and institutions. in a way that royalties will be paid to the original designer, and one-to-one scale sculptures which will reproduce Za'atari courtyards with fountain. They will be built, hopefully, within European public spaces. Has extraterritorial spaces. That means that the institutions or the city which accept, which is interested in collaborating, in contributing to this project, also accepts the condition to turn this object into an object with a special jurisdiction. And the special jurisdiction, my aim, let's say, is that this jurisdiction will be close to the IC idea. The IC is one of the few territories of the planet that is not subjected to the sovereignty of any state. And that means that is a res communis omnium, that is a good which belongs to humanity. Well, this is very complicated, of course, to turn this condition to an object that is placed on a national soil like this, but this is my ambition, so we have time and we will go step by step. At the moment, what is possible, because of course we commissioned a juridical research to a team of law experts. So they articulated a valid proposal to offer to European cities or institutions as a tool, as a juridical tool. And this proposal at the moment is to define through a series of acquisitions to define this space as a summa of different immunitas. So in a few months, hopefully, this place will be a kind of space where all the immunitas that are conceived, that are present in somehow in the planet, well, they will be collected. So in this way, this object in somehow takes a distance from the national state where he's yeah.
Who is it that decides that it will? Like, who is it that decides if it will become this kind of extraterrestrial?
Decides?
Like, who is the person who says yes or no?
Who decides if?
Yeah, how is it possible? Because it's kind of, if it's outside.
It's a process. I mean, we, of course, law is also it's conventions. It's a sum of conventions. We selected some interlocutors. Of course, they are a sovereign national organism. Of course, the thing is quite fragile and delicate, so we have to communicate just a few at the moment. But yeah, we.
The idea is to take advantage of organizations and subjects who already have, by law, a special jurisdiction. So to collaborate in a way with them to integrate their special jurisdiction on this object. It's experimental, of course. Let's see.
So what happens after they get the jurisdiction of the object being like not a property of the state? Will there be some plans for the object after that, after the jurisdiction?
What will happen to this object is unpredictable. Because the important thing is that there is a kind of first case of an object that is a sculpture, but also a space that that takes a distance from the national state. And somehow it also, for me, not in a symbolic, but in symbolic terms, but in pragmatic terms. I mean, not only in symbolic terms. And the special quality corresponds also to another way to think of citizenship. So maybe it would be much more clear within the show, I can quote now Donatella Di Cesare. She's an Italian philosopher. She also in somehow developed the thoughts of Giorgio Agamben and Hannah Arendt, and she recently tried to write a kind of philosophy story of migration. And at one point she mentioned the biblical, is it correct, or biblical Jerusalem, biblical Jerusalem. In urban terms, the fabric of the city was not compact, but it was full of voids. And the voids of Jerusalem, they were the courtyards in somehow, and they reproduced the void of the tent of gathering. The tent that was used by nomadic tribes in the desert. Well, that void was prepared for host the foreigner. So Jerusalem has this vacant head, these vacant places, these voids within its own urban fabric that were prepared for hosting the foreigner. And this condition, this urban material condition also reflected, mirrors the not only the condition of exile of Jewish people, but also another way to think of citizenship, because in biblical Jerusalem there was this figure, this ancient figure, that is the ger. The ger is the resident, but he is also the foreigner at the same time, at once. So in Jerusalem there was not the your rights as a citizen. They were not linked to apurtenance of to the territory, but you had the same rights of the resident even if you were a foreigner. And what is my proposal? What is my vision? Is that evidently the modern nation state is failing, and this kind of idea of citizenship is the one that can be valid and should be experimented. And this is a kind of a first stone of foundation of this idea of citizenship, So a citizenship that is, no more linked to national sovereignty, to a territory, to a state, but a citizenship which is the citizenship of the citizen of the city. I don't know if it's la cittadinanza del cittadino della città.
I have a question. If you're able to achieve this project of yours, will any of the funds used to create, of course, the fountains to achieve this idea, will some of them go towards the refugee camps and to help those people that are still in camps? Because it will be, in the long run, it will be a long process. Unfortunately, it's something that can't be achieved immediately. So will any of those funds go towards these camps of refugees, which you have studied so much, to help them out in the meanwhile?
The royalties will be paid to original designers. Not because, this is not a humanitarian project. And I'm not a humanitarian
Artist.
yeah. And I'm not an activist. But the idea is that this money, this project has to be a device, and which I wish go to implement, to stress the idea that the camp, in this case Za'atari, but Za'atari is a case studio for me, in general, the camps, refugee camps should be seen, should be rethink as cities which last. And Za'atari, maybe it's the best refugee camp in the world in terms of infrastructure, of experimentation of new models, of distribution, services, facilities, and opportunities for refugees. So Za'atari is very well known in the world. Each year, if you check the MA thesis of students of architecture faculties in the United States, all of them talk about Za'atari as a case studio. It's very well known, but Za'atari embodies, materializes this contradiction between the temporality, so this short-term vision, perspective. So Za'atari, actually, it is Islam, but it's also a foundation city where incredible economies and infrastructures and systems of distributions of humanitarian aid are experimented. So my will to stress the economy of the camp, also to try to implement with my small means the economy of the camp, for me means to insist on the idea that camps should be, refugee camps should be resolved as towns and as settlements, urban settlements which last, and maybe also virtuous urban models to be exported. And so this is my vision, and I think that the camp has a urban reality, has the huge chance the real chance, opportunity to work only if the measure is its emancipation in terms of trade and governance from the central government. So this is my idea.
Is there a reason you chose Reggio Emilia as the first location? Because this is the first public sculpture.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was curious why this place in particular, and then also if you have future projects, cities that you're in contact with to set up other fountains and other.
At the moment, no. I mean, there are some possibilities on the table, but nothing is confirmed. And we choose this park because yes, it was a park with different humanities.
It is also, as you can imagine, a collaboration with the municipality of Reggio Emilia, because it's a public sculpture in a public space. So it was also a proposal which was with them, but it was really well accepted, well welcomed by the collection and Margherita, because this park is in a city center, but also at the border of the city center, because it stops there, the center of the town. So it's a kind of center, but also border place of the town. And at the same time, as Margherita was saying, it is a very varied audience. From immigrants to families to old people to this cafe used to be a social center for old people before, and then it's changed a bit. So it's something that was interesting also for.
Yeah, and it gave to us the possibility, to communicate this object not only not as a monument, not as something, but has something to act in somehow.
Also, it's really something never-ending for Margherita and for the project itself, but also when a municipality and an institution, the Collezione Maramotti in this case, accept to work on something like this, the challenge is also to make it live during the years. So we're going on and collaborating with the municipality and see how to activate workshops or presentation or activities. There is school here. So it's activate the community and make it very familiar to all the people of the town, and to make it really something that you want to take care of and you want to share with other people. So there will be other things going on about the project. It's not just something put here and living by itself.
How often does the fountain go off? How often does the fountain go off? Like the water?
Turns on.
Twice per week.
Twice during the Sundays and half an hour. So during the morning and this afternoon it will activate again.
Because the water is dispersed on the ground, so there is not a system for recycling, and we don't want dispersed water, but just to communicate the event, the fact that it's a fountain.
Was also this idea of an emergency kind of, not like
exactly, not a decorative zampillo.
Maybe a more general question than personal one. How did you decide to devote your work as an artist to this specific theme of migration and refugee camps? Is there like a personal story
maybe in
behind?
the exhibition, it will be much more clear. It's my interest in how cities change. At one point in 2015, led me to see at the Middle East, the Syrian diaspora has a paradigm of our time, of our bad paradigm maybe, but so at that time I was studying Hannah Arendt camps as cities which refugee camps as cities which last, and temporary architecture also. And in the same days, in the same weeks, thousands of Syrian refugees went our Europe, and really after maybe it was an exodus, like the first one after of that dimension, that size after the Second World War, and they had the ability. They were able to split Europe after 25 years from the Schengen agreement, and so Europe at that point it was divided between countries ready to host refugees and countries ready to build walls and reinforce borders, and actually that were the premises of the sad moment that we live now. So at the same time, Syrian diaspora and Syria conflict in general, it was for me the opportunity to rethink. I mean, it expressed clearly the need to rethink another way, to another political paradigm after the modern nation state division of the world, and it's the political paradigm of a new kind of citizenship that I told before, and at the same time, this political paradigm maybe can be the same thing. Can be, I mean, this new city which materializes a new citizenship also. Maybe it can start from a camp. If we start thinking the camps as new urban models, maybe virtuous urban models that are also new models of citizenship. Za'atari camp, it's a wall drawing made by the sand, the soil of Za'atari camp. So this is, I have used this soil from Mafra Governorate as a pigment, and the technique is the ancient technique of spolvero that was used by ancient painters for making frescoes, for making draft and drawings, preliminary drawings before the painting. Za'atari the numbers are, of course, the locations of the quartiers with fountains that have been catalogued. This text is the Arabic and is the title of the project, The Fountains of Za'atari in Arabic, but it's not a sculpture, it's just the title. And yes, here there are the models of the drawings that I made using pure pigments. They are the models of the courtyards with the fountains that we have inventoried within Za'atari camp. There are no images of photographs or of the camp. This is my decision. So all of them, they are reproductions, and this showing somehow there on that screen there is a video documentation. They are, we can say, the only images from the camp that are exhibited, and that's my decision. And I don't want to diffuse, or I don't want to spread images because, of course, it's pornography. And here on this table there are documents that I have used as tools. To, on the one hand, has theoretical tools, so my books of the books of my research, and on the other hand, the map and permissions and any kind of tools that I have used to develop this this project. This exhibition is not, how to say, an art exhibition. It is, of course, because there are pieces, but it is first of all a showroom. That's the point. So this exhibition, I used this possibility to exhibit this project within the pattern room of Collezione Maramotti. I have used this opportunity to install a showroom, so a place where the different models of courtyards with the fountain from Za'atari camp can be seen and can be selected by cities or art institutions which wish to collaborate with us to spread the project internationally. So every model has the number, of course, and a short data sheet with the name of the original, of the designer of that fountain, and the localization and some data, technical data. So Za'atari camp, as I said before, rose in 2012 in Jordan, in northern Jordan, at 14 kilometers from the Syrian border. It was created to receive Syrians fleeing the war, and in a few months it became the second largest camp in the world, and by size the fourth town in Jordan. The camp is militarized. It's managed by Jordanian government and United Nations, the Agency for Refugees of the United Nations. So it's militarized. That means that there are like checkpoint. Residents of Za'atari, Syrian residents, they can get permits, authorization to exit the camp and go to work. And the same thing is for the students. Visitors who wish to enter the camp need to get authorizations from the Jordanian government. In a few months, Za'atari becomes a town, and it reaches a population of 150,000. We are in 2013 and 2014. Today, Za'atari Za'atari population is 80,000. In Za'atari were experimented advanced systems of distribution of humanitarian aid. So refugees receive an e-voucher. An e-voucher is a kind of bancomat. They can use it to withdraw cash at mobile ATMs. So that allows them to develop an internal economy extremely flourishing, yeah. And so there are two souks, and this is the main souk actually. So the market street, and this is the first one. It's called Champs-Élysées. They joke with the sound of Champs-Élysées, the boulevard in Paris, but Sham is also the Arabic name for Damascus. So it's the street, it's the market street of Damascus. In Za'atari there are more than 3,000 shops, pastry shop, butcher shop, electronic shops, whatever. There are more than 300 restaurants. There are more than 30 schools, more than a lot of mosques and soccer fields, and there is the largest solar plant system ever created in a camp in the world. Then there is a disposal system for recycling gray waters from the camp. The recycled water is reused to irrigate the camp, the fields of the farm around the camp, where the residents themselves, they are employed as day laborer. So it's a virtual system. Well, everything, all of these actually talk about a town, but as I said before, Za'atari is a foundation city, but at the same time it is Islam. So when I met in somehow Kilian Kleinschmidt, he has been officer of United Nations, the High Commissioner for Refugees for 25 years, and he was major of Za'atari camp for 2 years. And in 2016, I read an interview by Kleinschmidt, and he said we have to rethink the camps as a city which lost the refugee in general, and is not. We have to stop thinking the refugee as an unlucky person. It's not a category. It's the human being. I mean, human being move and is forced to move and decide to move since ever. So, and he said Za'atari, for instance, is so much a city that is full of fountains. And that was, I took this information and I started to elaborate in my mind. And I have started to exchange with him some ideas, and then actually they became a project. So the project to go to Za'atari, to develop, to produce an inventory of the courtyards with the fountain built by residents within their own homes, and to try to create a virtual system of acquisitions of these models to be reproduced by European cities and institutions as sculptures. So with the with the idea to implement the economy of the camp, paying royalties to the original designers, and on the other hand, to turn these spaces, these objects, these sculptures on European soil into extraterritorial objects. So here is where is Za'atari. These are information tools that are given to visitors when they enter the camp. My work within, for 2 years I developed the idea of this project. I have tried to document, to collect documentations, and I try to, to formulate the project properly. It was very delicate, of course, because I had no experience of refugee camps, and I had no experience of Middle East, so for me it was a very, very delicate issue, of course. And actually, when I had the chance to participate to an award from the Ministry of the Culture, and I won, I was selected, so I obtained some financial aid, some fundings, to start the research, to start with the trips, and to Jordan, and to organize the work on field. So the work was organized into 2 trips. The first one was in the autumn, on autumn 2017. I was together with my collaborator Marta Bellingreri. She's a journalist, expert in Middle East. She's an activist, and she already experienced Za'atari as a journalist, and she speaks fluent Arabic, and that was very important for me and for the to communicate and to live the relationships with residents in a deep. So together with us.
So because you were explaining us that in a way to make a catalog of the fountains means you have to enter.
Exactly.
So you have to build a kind of relationship with residents.
You have to build trust. I mean, people have exactly, because the courtyards with fountain, they are the private monuments of Za'atari city, let's say. So they are actually sculptures, monuments, but they are within a private space. So what we did, it's I don't like this word, but it's quite clear. So this bottom-up process in somehow. So during the first trip, I favored the relation, a direct relation with the residents, so a relation that was not, I tried to defend the privilege to have not mediated, not filtered relations with refugees. Not filtered by camp authority or neither humanitarian organizations. This was the first trip. So we observed, we took time to try to build relationships, and spontaneously and somehow we built a group, a team. Together with them, Abu Tammam Al-Kadewi Al-Nabelsi, Tammam Al-Nabelsi, Eyad Sabah, and some others collaborators, we started to visit the houses and making interviews with families, and we visited like about 20 houses and 20 quartiers with fountain. And but actually we had an authorization for 3 weeks, and it's a lot because actually visitors or researchers or journalists, they have very short permissions, like for a couple of hours per day, for 3 days per week. So we have been quite lucky, and also to benefit the help of the Embassy of Italy in Amman and the Italian Agency for Cooperation in Jordan. So the second, so we have proposed to our group to complete the research at one point, to complete the research by themselves on a commission basis, and they accept. That's why, yeah, actually they complete the work, and this is their work. It's a book where they collected and illustrated the fountains that they found in the camp with watercolors and data sheets. And the second trip, some months later, it was focused on my interest in understanding if there was a vision from the managers who run and who direct the camp, and engineers who build. So my second trip to Jordan was focused on meetings and interviews with UNHCR representatives and officers and camp managers and engineers working in the camp. At the end of 2018, I had an inventory. Of course, it's not a scientific document because Za'atari changes, cities change. So maybe some of these fountains they were dismantled, and some others for sure have been built. But this is, let's say, a temporary inventory of the fountains of Za'atari. They are 61 models, and in 2018 the project was exhibited for the first time in Rome at Fondazione Pastificio Cerere exhibition space. The first prototype of a one-to-one scale sculpture was built, was produced, and now is part of Museo Madre collection in Naples. And then at that point we needed to complete, to fulfill the project as a device, and to do it we needed to produce a book that, yes, we are working on it, and it will be launched in a few months. And the book will be a catalog, a commercial tool to spread to European cities and institutions which want to collaborate with us to the diffusion of these sculptures. So on the one hand, this book it will be a Za'atari city guide, not authorized. so not, sì, non autorizzata. And Za'atari in that case is illustrated through its own private monuments. And on the other hand, it would be a commercial tool, so a catalog of the models that people can select and to reproduce. Yes, this is the model that was selected to be reproduced in the Reggio Emilia, where in Parco Alcide Cervi. This is a video because after 1 year, the Khalid sent to us a video via WhatsApp to show the transformation of the pool. When I was there, the pool was this. And after 1 year, it was activated and it became a shop of vegetables and fruit. And here this is the part of the juridical research that was commissioned to the law experts. And here the theoretical sources, the most important theoretical sources, that is the chapter number 9 of The Origin of Totalitarianism by Hannah Arendt, where she analyzes the creation of the modern nation state after the World War I. And she said the mistake, the big mistake is that the modern nation state was founded on these 3 principles: state, nation, and territory. Well, following these principles, the nation state is set to defend only the rights of citizen. Who is not citizen, who is not a citizen, that is stateless, refugees, asylum seeker, etc., cannot be defended. So it can only be defended, the human rights can only be defended by United Nations. And United Nations was created together at the same time, together with the modern nation state, for this reason. What she said is we should rethink. She didn't say that properly, but her position was that we should consider the refugee not as an exception, but as the foundation paradigm of the state, or at least of citizenship. Today there are 70 million people who were forcibly displaced people. These numbers are destined to increase for climatic factors, for economic reasons, for the war, or simply because our time is a time of extreme mobility. So this is migration is of course an emergency of the present time, but it's not a category. It's our future. It's our present and our future. So it's very simple to realize that the modern nation state is not the right tool, the right device to react, to serve the present emergencies, the present time, and we have to start thinking a new way to think citizenship. Yeah, the idea is that who purchased the model, well, he can store the object. He can reproduce and store the object in this position. Then, when the special jurisdiction is in process, the object can be activated as a fountain. And then, when the special jurisdiction is applied, the object can find its right position. Following this criteria, of course, the fountains in Parco Alcide Cervi is an exception. But this exception in somehow mirrors the need, the necessity to communicate, to visualize also the final image of the work, and at the same time it mirrors a position.
In her research, did she? So during the research process, did you consult any experts or like professors from academia, any of that?
Yes, I mean, the project rose in my mind at least in 2015 when I was following as an auditor the class of Felicity Scott in Columbia University. Her class was called Architecture, Human Rights and Spatial Politics, and the program was within the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, Preservation in New York. So my first, how to say, source was that class. Then, of course, I started to study by myself and to collect documentation, and there is a lot of literature about camp, and yes, as a reference, I found, for instance, the Refugee Study Center of Oxford University, and then the thoughts of Alexander Betts and Paul Collier, that are, yes, they are one of them. Yeah, they are very, very experts of this of the humanitarian system in general, and then yes, many sources and different authors, but on philosophical in philosophical terms, in the field of philosophy, my references are Hannah Arendt, Giorgio Agamben, and Donatella Di Cesare. This drawing is a kind of visualization of the vision by Agamben, and the vision of Agamben is synthesized in those pages of Means Without Ends, and publication of 1993, something like 96, something like that. So he imagines a Europe that is not more a Europe divided into countries and following the nation state system, but he imagines a Europe divided in, not divided in territorial terms, but regulated, let's say, through cities, which are extraterritorial spaces and which are related in cities which develop relationships of extraterritoriality. Of course, he doesn't offer pragmatic, practical examples of this new configuration and of this new system, but he just offers an idea, and I try to to illustrate that. And actually, I wonder if this idea of Europe can start from some sculptures. Here the disposal plant for recycling grey waters. Here the ring road, the ring which this is the main street, let's say. Here the solar powered system. Here the blocks, soccer fields. The camp is divided into 14 districts, and each district in about 8-9 blocks. Here is Za'atari village, a Jordanian village with something like 13,000 inhabitants. And that village gave the name to the camp. But of course the camp became a town and the village stays a village.